I'm Jackie and welcome back to the channel. We are enjoying life's journey while on the path to financial freedom. If you're not familiar with the channel, I make videos on goal setting, personal finance, and a little bit about our minimalist lifestyle. If you're interested in any of those, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you within our community here on YouTube. So today we are going to talk about the whole process of getting pre-approved or pre-qualified for a home mortgage so you can start purchasing a home, so you can look at a home. We're buying a house. We close on July 23rd, so I decided I was going to do a series with you guys kind of explaining the whole process. I have already made one video about 3 things to think about or to consider or to know before actually going and shopping and looking at houses and getting yourself all excited about that, because it could be a roller coaster if you find a house that you love and you're not ready to buy it. So today we're going to talk about getting ready to buy it. So within those 3 things, one of the things I mentioned was you're ready to buy a house and you contact a lender. So the idea is you want to get pre-approved or pre-qualified. Some people use different terminology, but they basically mean the same thing. You want to get pre-approved or pre-qualified before you actually start looking at the houses, because one, this is going to help you to know how much can you borrow. I'm going to talk about, you don't always want to borrow, you don't always want to buy a house for how much you can borrow, but it's also good to know because you may think you can afford or you can borrow more than you can borrow. So it's good to know how much you can borrow, but also by doing this, you have everything in order. You know exactly where you stand with your credit, if there's things you need to work on. So you feel confident that when you find a house that you like, you can put an offer on it right then and there, especially with right now it's a seller's market, meaning houses are going fast and they're going for more than asking price. Yeah, it's crazy. So let's talk about the whole process of getting pre-approved. So I'm just going to share what has happened in our situation, what we did, and how we went about doing it. If you guys have purchased a home and you went through the pre-qualification process, share down below if there's anything that you guys did or experienced that's different from me, because we can all learn from each other. So the first thing I mentioned before actually looking at houses was to find a lender. So the way we actually found a lender was I was online and I was just kind of looking on realtor.com. I was getting an idea of what the market was like. I was looking to see, okay, how much are these houses going for? Kind of looking, okay, what are the houses looking like? What kind of shape are they in? And I came across one of the houses, and in the description it had mentioned that house, you could only buy that house if you qualified for a down payment assistance program. So I thought, you know what, let me just ask them, what is this program and would we qualify for it? Because maybe we could purchase something sooner than later, because I had it in my head that we wouldn't be able to afford anything unless we had 20% down. So we kind of, so all I did was I just did a little email thing on there saying I was interested in, they thought I was interested in the property, but I just mentioned I was interested in the down payment program. So someone called, like one of the seller's realtor or something like that, called me back kind of instantly, which was really cool, and said, oh, you're interested in this property? I said, well, actually, no, I'm interested in what the programs are. Do you have a preferred lender or something like that? So that's one way that you can go about doing it. One way we've done it in the past is Ricky and I, we loved looking at new houses. Like anytime new houses came up that they were building new houses, we'd go look at the model homes. They were way out of our price range, but it was just something that we like to do. And same thing, you can always go with them. They have a preferred lender, things like that. So if you want to do that, you can go that route, or you can actually do some research and find a lender. So she kind of just gave my information to a lender, and they contacted me right away as well. So he broke it all down. He told me what the programs were, and then I just kind of said, well, how would we go about, I'm interested to see if we could even purchase something now, or where we stand. So it all started with basically filling out the application. So it didn't cost us anything to fill out the application. He emailed me a link to the online application. So we've just filled it out. We decided just to do it in my husband's name because I don't really have any income worth counting. Let me back up a minute. We before I filled it out, he recommended that we go on Credit Karma and just get an idea of what our credit score was. He mentioned that we had to have a credit score of 640 or higher in order to qualify. So within the application, what they're looking for is they want at least 2 years of your work history and 2 years of your residence history. And then they want to know like what's your current pay, how much are you making every month, and then what's your current liabilities, and what's your current assets. So like, do you have savings and all that stuff. So you basically plug that all in there with your social security number, and then they look at all the information, they run all the numbers, and then they run the credit report. So he got back to me like the day that we filled out the application. My lender got back to me and said, you guys look awesome, there's just one issue that we need to work on. That was one thing I mentioned, why before you start looking at houses, contact a lender, because they're going to tell you what you need to work on, and they're going to give you pretty much step by step on how to fix it. So the deal was our debt to income ratio was perfect because we had no debt. So we paid off all of our debt in 2016. So that was good. Ricky's income was high enough where we could actually afford something that was in the market, because we were worried that we wouldn't be able to afford anything, because the market is pretty high right now. So we thought we went, so that was good to know. The one thing we had was, because we paid off all of our debt, Ricky's credit report, it showed his history, but he had no score. There was no credit score. So the way we fixed it, basically our lender told us, go get a secured credit card. Basically that means you give the credit card money, and he said just go get a secured credit card for $300 and then charge only $20 on it. Leave that balance on there for the entire month, and then in 1 month, contact the credit card company and make sure they reported that card to the credit bureaus, and then we will re-pull the credit. Okay, so the first step was, okay, we filled out the application, we found out roughly how much we would be able to borrow, roughly what our monthly payment would look like. So we knew, okay, if we wanted a lower payment, we knew we would want to buy something that was less than that. If we felt comfortable with a little bit higher, we knew, we kind of knew where we stood, and we knew that work history and all of that stuff, everything else was good. We just needed to fix the credit. So we went basically the next day, went online and just signed up for the Discover It. So it's Discover It secured credit card. We put $300 on there. That does earn some cash back. I mean, you're only charging $20, so you don't really earn a whole lot cash back. So we did that. And then we kind of was like, okay, it's time to sit and wait. We had a month to see what happened. So then at that point, I contacted the lender and I said, okay, we have the card, we've charged $20, start the 30-day clock. So he noted that, and then I asked him, is there anything we can do in the meantime to help the process, to help get the loan faster, to help everything move along faster? So he sent me a list of things that they would need in order to get the financing. So that really helped us to get the pre-approval process done even faster. So what was needed? So we had to give the last 3 years tax returns. So we had to do 2017, 16, and 15. I do our taxes through TurboTax, so it was very easy. I have some of those saved on the computer, and I was able to just log on to TurboTax to get the one from 2015. So I had that easy peasy, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yeah, so 3 years tax return. Then they wanted 2 years of W-2s. So because we had just filed our taxes for 2017, that was good. I had all that stuff on hand. The problem was the stuff from the year before, because we were not planning on purchasing a house for a couple more years. So I didn't save those W-2s. Luckily though, when we moved into this apartment, because Ricky had just started his job and he didn't have a pay stub, they allowed us to use our W-2s from the previous year to get approved to move into this apartment. So they had copied all of that stuff. So I called the front office and I said, hi, when we moved in, you guys copied all of our W-2s from 2016. Do you still have all of those copies? And they said, yes, we do. And I said, do you mind if I get a copy of all those copies? And so they, within 10 minutes, I had all of the W-2s from 2016. So now we had our tax returns and our W-2s. Then we needed to provide our most recent bank statement. So this was to prove how much money we had in savings to start the process, because they want to make sure you have enough money to put down or for closing or for moving and all of that stuff. They want to make sure you actually have the money. And then the last thing was Ricky's, they needed 1 month's worth of his pay stubs. So he gets paid every week. Luckily, he has access to all of his pay stubs online. So I just logged on and downloaded his most current pay stubs. So I had that was all the paperwork that was required. So this is the paperwork that will be required for your loan. It may not necessarily be required for the actual pre-qualification of it, but I encourage you to have it. Ask your lender, what's everything I'm going to need, so you can start getting that stuff as fast as possible, because you're going to make the rest of the process a lot smoother. And the other thing we had to do was Ricky had to sign 2 forms. There was one form basically saying that, giving them permission to get the information from the IRS so they could compare the W-2s and the tax returns that we had to what the IRS was reporting, to make sure everything matched up. So you had to fill out that paperwork. I forget the name of it. It was just some numbers, 4305T or something like that. So just some kind of form. And then there was another form which was basically just a form, signing, agreeing that we were going to be working with this mortgage company, that we're going to be working with this lender. So basically, we printed those out, signed those, scanned it back in, and emailed them. So everything had been done electronically at this point, which made it very easy. So everything I had to return, if I had physical copies, I just scanned them into the computer and I emailed everything over. The last thing we needed was to complete a home education course, which cost $99. They required that, this lender did. Not all lenders do. I encourage everyone to take one anyways, because it goes over the whole process. Everything that I'm sharing with you guys, it goes over that whole process. It goes over pros and cons of owning a house, added expenses of owning a house, how to budget, how to figure out what it is you want in a house, all of that stuff. So it's really a great a course to take. So he said we wouldn't have to take that course until we actually, found a house and everything. But we went ahead and just did it now, because we were confident that everything was going to get approved. The pre-qualification would get approved as soon as the credit score changed, and then we'd be purchasing a house. So we went ahead and just did it right then and there. So we had that certificate, so we had to send over that certificate. One other thing we did have to do, because Ricky had some gaps in employment within that 2 years, because we were traveling in the RV, so we basically were traveling, from job to job. So what we did was we just made up an Excel spreadsheet, and we just put in, for that whole, basically from Goodwill all the way up to his current work, we put in, the dates, where he worked, what he, how much he was making, how many hours he was working, like how much he made per hour, how many hours he worked. And whether it was a seasonal job or whatever, and then the gaps that we had, we put the dates in there, and we put, traveling from this state to this state, traveling for work, traveling from this job to this job. So we went ahead and sent that over as well. So that way it just kind of, everything was laid out on the table. They knew everything. So that was everything that we did leading up to the pre-qualification. So then there we were just waiting for that month, for that secured card to actually report on the credit reports. So then what I did after a month went by, I had looked on Discover, and it had mentioned what our statement dates would be. So I was off by a few days, so we had to wait a couple extra days because I wanted to make sure that first statement. So our lender had us email over our very first statement that said, hey, this is the card, it's $300, there's 20 owed on it, and that's that. Oh, the next due date is this, our first statement. So we sent that over to them, and then he got back to me and said, okay, go ahead and contact Discover and make sure that they're reporting it to the credit bureaus before I re-pull the credit. And I said, okay. So I actually just went on to the annualcreditreport.com. You get a free credit report from all 3 credit bureaus once a year. Sometimes if you're just trying to monitor your credit, you can just pull one credit bureau like every couple months instead of doing them all at once. But we went ahead and just pulled them all at one time, and we saw that Discover had reported on all 3 credit bureaus. I contacted the lender and said, okay, it's reporting on all 3. So he said, okay. So he called me and just got some updated numbers. You know, okay, is Ricky still working hours? Yes. He verified the things I had, the dates I had for the employment, and then he just said, okay, how much do you have in the bank account now? So I kind of just gave him those numbers, those updated numbers over the phone, and then he went ahead and he pulled the credit and he put everything into their underwriting program, and he called me back and said, all right, you guys are pre-approved or pre-qualified for up to $185,000. Originally, we thought it would be $170,000, so that was cool to know that we qualified for more. And Ricky's credit score, instead of being, they had estimated by us doing what we were going to do that his credit score would be 680. It actually ended up being 715 with one credit bureau and 730 with the other 2 credit bureaus. So they will use the lowest number, but 715 is his credit score versus 680. So credit score was even higher than we thought. We were able to get approved for more. Granted, we didn't buy a house for 185. I'm gonna talk about the whole house thing in another video. Then he had a pre-approval letter that he emailed to our realtor. So during that time also, as you're getting pre-approved or pre-qualified, go ahead and locate your realtor. I actually ended up using a high school friend, so it was really easy. I just kind of emailed him on Facebook and said, hey, I see you're a realtor, you want to work with us? And at that point, we gave him all of the criteria and our budget and everything we wanted in the house, neighborhoods we wanted, and he set us up on what's called the MLS. So basically then we could start looking at stuff online. And so we kind of were looking at stuff online before we were officially approved, but again, we kind of had that idea of around 170, 180 we knew was around our thing. At that point, he had the approval letter, so we could actually go, and if we found something, we could put an offer on it. We did look at a few houses in the meantime because we knew we were in this process. There were a few that we kind of liked, and we would, our realtor asked the seller, would you be willing to do, a 60-day close, because we were just waiting for, that 1 month to pass. And because it is a seller's market, everyone was like, no, we want someone who can close, like, who can buy it now. So we held off on looking at stuff till we officially had that letter. Once we had that letter, we found a house pretty quick because we had already looked at so many houses. But anyway, so that's the whole process of getting pre-approved. Again, once you're pre-approved and you officially have that letter, it's time to go house shopping. Yeah, so join me next week, you guys. I'm going to talk about our must-haves, our wants, and our want-nots. Okay, in purchasing a home. So this is the stuff that we talked about as a couple. These are things that we agreed on, and this is the information we gave to our realtor to help us start shopping for a house. So I hope this video helped you guys in kind of telling you the process of everything. Again, if you've already purchased a house, leave me a comment below. Let me know what was different in your process. Or what was the same. And if you are in the market of purchasing a home or you've never thought about purchasing a home, leave me a comment below and give me, what was one thing that you can take away from this video that will help you in your journey to purchasing a home. So again, I hope this helped you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye. You scared me. Okay.